So again, welcome everyone. My name is Dorothy Jordan. I am with AARP Alabama. I am so happy you're joining us today. We've got a great session for you with the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program. We are very pleased and honored to have Heather Sands with that program here today. She is going to be doing the bulk of our webinar talking about disasters and documentations before and after disasters. We also have a very special guest, Mr. Jason Anderson. He is actually from the Social Security Administration. So he is here to answer any questions you may have about lost Social Security cards, anything that, that comes up. We do hope that y'all are all safe and sound today. It's kind of a rainy day down here in Mobile. And we a couple of housekeeping notes just to let you know a little bit about AARP. AARP empowers people to choose how they live, and we're a nonprofit 501c4, and we have over 420,000 members in Alabama. And our role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families, regardless of politics. So what I get to do is the best part of working for AARP is to do outreach and education and things like these presentations that we have. So I'm very lucky to be a part of that and be with you all today. Just a reminder that we are recording. If you can, please keep your phone on or your microphone on mute. If you have any questions, please ask those in the chat. We will be getting to those questions either depending on the relevancy, either as they come up or definitely at the end, we will have time for questions and an answer session. We've also got a lot of great telephone numbers and links that Heather has compiled for you in different slides. And so I will try to be copying and pasting those into the chat. But if you registered for this event, and you obviously got the registration email, you will be getting a thank you email from us that will have a survey link as well as the websites and the phone numbers that Heather is going to go over today. So you will be getting that information along with the recording of this webinar. So you will be able to view it again, and you will be able to have that information if you don't get it from the chat or you don't catch it in the slides. It will be sent to you afterwards via email. It'll come from the email address that you registered with. So just keep a lookout for that. It may take a day or two, depending on how long it takes this recording to kind of format and get loaded up onto YouTube. But without further ado, I am going to let Ms. Heather Sands go ahead and expound on what she does and what the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program does. So Heather, thanks again for joining us, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you, Dorothy and AARP, for having us again today. It's always fun and enjoyable to be able to be on any of your programs. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm just going to give everybody just a little bit of background information about the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program before we get started with our discussion today.
And Heather, can I stop you for just a second? I think we're having a little sound issue on you. You're breaking up just a tad. So I don't know if you have a little, we just want to make sure we hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Is this better?
I think so.
Okay. Stop me again if you can't hear me. Okay.
Will do.
Okay. So we serve the Mobile, Baldwin, Clark, and Washington counties. We service people who are 19 years and older within our VLP service area who meet certain income requirements and are within the VLP subject guidelines. And my position, I am the disaster response project coordinator for Hurricane Sally disaster relief. And that was actually a grant funded position by AARP, but we are expanding that just a little bit to cover just disaster response, because here in the South, we deal with it so often that we can kind of broaden it and just help people as much as we can with, before the hurricane, before they have to deal with recovering from the disaster. So the AARP grant for Hurricane Sally Disaster Recovery Project, we service people over the age of 50 within our VLP service area who meet the income requirements and are within the VLP subject guidelines. Next slide, please. Okay, so the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program, we have some funders, and we are also a partner agency of the United Way of Southwest Alabama and the United Way of Baldwin County. And then here's just a quick list of our funders that you can see. So Alabama Law Foundation, Alabama Civil Justice Foundation, the Mobile County Commission, the Mobile Bar Foundation, Baldwin Bar Foundation, and Legal Services of Alabama. Just a little background. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's a pretty good list of the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program assistance areas. You will see pretty much an extensive list of civil matters on here. No criminal, we don't handle any criminal cases, but if there is anything that you don't see on here, you could call the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program, and even if we cannot help you, we can probably direct you to someone who can. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to get into our discussion today on preparing your documents before the storm. Next slide. Okay, so we want to start out with how to keep your important documents in a safe place so that you don't have to worry with replacing them after a natural disaster occurs. So you're going to want to place your important documents and records in a waterproof container, and I would like to also add fireproof on there too if you have one. This should include any personal ID cards, wills, Social Security cards, insurance policies, family records, and banking information, and anything else that is just of value to you that has your important information on there. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different for every person. And then you're going to want to be sure your container is in an easy grab and go place. So you may want to put it, by your bed, by a front door, just somewhere that you can grab quickly and easily in case you have to evacuate quickly during a disaster. Next slide. Okay, so it's time for our first poll today. Do you have a safe, sorry, I can't. Let's see. Oh, it popped up, but I couldn't read my slide.
Sorry.
You have a safe, waterproof place for your important documents. You will answer yes or no. We'll give everybody a few minutes to answer that question.
And we have one question real quick about, will the slides be available after the presentation? I came by late. We are going to send an email to everyone who's registered and attended after this. It will have an uploaded YouTube recording of this presentation. That email will also contain the phone numbers and the websites that we're going to be showing today. So we will not be giving all of the slides because that's that kind of gets things jumbled up, but we will be giving you the recording and all of the relevant information to get in contact. So great question.
Okay, Dorothy, when you're ready.
Sure, I think so. Yeah, we've got about 81%. So let's show this real quick.
Okay.
We'll show that most folks do.
Okay, yeah, most folks do. 41% said no. Okay, so great. So most people do have a safe, waterproof place for your documents. And for those of you that don't, go grab you one. Quick and easy office supply stores should have them. You can go to Walmart and get something. Just anywhere that is safe for you to keep your documents, that they will not get messed up, especially in the event of water damage.
Right.
Okay.
We have another good question before our next slide. Could the documents in the grab box be copies, or do they need to be the originals?
In some instances, I would say put your originals in there. I would say make copies of everything just for your personal, to put maybe in a second place. But in your safe, waterproof place, go ahead and put your originals in there, especially things like your will, things that they have to have an original document of. And then some things maybe just specific to that particular organization, whether or not they will accept copies. If you have to have the documentation, it's kind of going to be a case-by-case thing, but I would personally suggest just putting all of your original documents in that waterproof place.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Good question.
And our next poll.
Yes, if you answered yes to the previous question, is your safe container in a location that is easy to grab and go?
All right, should be popping up. Let's see, getting a lot of yeses. All right, great. Give it a few more seconds.
What we want to see.
And I will say my documents are all in binders in the little plastic sheet protectors. They are not in waterproof, but they are in binders. So I do need to probably get them in a waterproof container for sure.
Yeah, well, and one thing that I did not put on the slides that's actually a great idea too is to get a thumb drive and have a backup of everything on a thumb drive as well that you carry in your purse or that you kind of have on you, that's just also easy to grab and go and is also another backup. As many just safe backups as you can have, the better. So.
Great. All right, let's see what we've got here. And again, a good majority of our folks that said yes. Awesome.
Okay, so those of you who said no, you have your documents in a good, safe place. You just need to make sure that they are somewhere where you could easily get to them quickly if you have to evacuate. So, yeah, next slide, Dorothy.
Great.
That's good. Okay.
Let's see if I can get this. Here we go.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about what happens in the event that a natural disaster occurs and you have your documents have been destroyed. Okay, so we're just going to go through. Now, this is a pretty extensive list. I'm so thankful that Dorothy, no, you're fine, is going to email the links because there are some links on here that are pretty long. And so instead of, I was going to suggest everybody grabbing a pen and paper to write everything down, but she's going to send that to you. So that's going to be awesome. So just bear with me. We're going to have a long list of very important information. So we're going to start with ID cards. And to replace your driver's license, your Social Security cards, you will visit your local driver's license and Social Security offices. You can also go to the ssa.gov website /myaccount/replacement card to request a replacement Social Security card online. And we do have Jason here. He's going to be here for questions. If you have any, and I told him at the beginning, if he has any places that he just wants to interject a little bit of information, go ahead, Jason. So feel free to interrupt. You can apply for a replacement Social Security card online if you are a U.S. citizen, 18 or older with a U.S. mailing address, and if you are not requesting a name change or any other change to your card. Also, if you have a driver's license or a state-issued identification card. Next slide, please. And I think the Social Security replacement is probably the most extensive, so we're going to spend the most amount of time on it. Okay, you can replace your Social Security card for free if it is lost or stolen. You may not necessarily have to get a replacement card because knowing your Social Security number is what is most important. And you just have to keep in mind that you are limited to 3 replacement cards in a year and 10 during your lifetime. An acceptable document must be current and show your name, identifying information, and preferably a recent photograph. For example, as proof of identity, Social Security must see your driver's license, your state-issued non-driver identification card, or your U.S. passport. Next slide. If you do not have one of these specific documents or you cannot get a replacement for one of them within 10 days, they will ask to see other documents. Any documents submitted, including the following, must be current and show your name, identifying information, and preferably a recent photograph. So you can show your employee identification card, a school identification card, health insurance card, or a U.S. military identification card. Just some examples. Next slide. Okay, replacing a Social Security card for a child. It's a little bit different. So while you can use a birth certificate to prove age or citizenship, you cannot use it as proof of identity. So Social Security needs evidence that shows that the child continues to exist beyond the date of birth. They can accept only certain documents as proof of your child's identity. An acceptable document must show your child's name, identifying information, and preferably a recent photograph. They generally can accept a non-photo identity document if it has enough information to identify the child, such as the child's name and age, date of birth, or parents' names. If that document is not available, they may accept the child's state-issued non-driver's identification card, an adoption decree, a doctor, clinic, or hospital record, religious record, school daycare center record, or school identification card. And they also must see proof of your identity as the parent. So, and I was talking to Jason before we got started today, and he was saying that the medical records are probably the easiest to come by, and usually people, don't really care as much if something happened, they got lost in the mail or something. So that was a great point. Those may be the easiest to come by. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so replacing some other important documents. Birth and death certificates and marriage licenses. You are going to want to visit alabamapublichealth.gov/vital records to request replacement documents, or you can also visit your local probate courthouse. And then for replacing bank cards and food stamps or EBT cards, you will call your bank or credit card company to replace any debit or credit cards. Some banks may be willing to waive some fees and payments during disasters. And then to replace food stamps and EBT cards, you will call the Alabama SNAP program at 1-800-410-5827. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a list of some more important documents. So deeds and mortgages, you will want to visit your respective county's probate court website and download copies of the property documents there. Insurance documents, you will contact your insurance agency. Medicare cards, you can visit your local Social Security Administration office, and you can also sign in to secure.ssa.gov to request a replacement card. Let's see.
Sorry.
My slide. It's okay.
That was my fault. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, and for Medicaid cards, you will contact Alabama Medicaid. Their number is listed right there. Or you can log into your My Medicaid account to request a replacement card. And then we have kind of a long link here for replacing passports. So I think Dorothy is going to be emailing that one out.
And I am copying and pasting these in the chat. So just bear with me real quick and I'll get those sent out. Sorry, I have to move some stuff around on my screen.
You're fine.
So I can see it.
And just whenever you're ready, I'm ready for the next slide, but we can wait on you.
Sure.
I know that's a lot of information.
That's okay. I want to make sure I get it all on here. And just for those who are just joining us, we are recording this. And after we get the recording uploaded to our YouTube website, we will be sending out the recording link as well as the list of these websites and phone numbers in a thank you email. That will be coming to you in a day or two right after we, like I said, get this recording uploaded. So let me get back to my other screen real quick, folks. And sorry, I have to switch screens to cut and paste. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, Heather.
You're fine. No worries. Okay. So tax documents, you can visit irs.gov and click on Get Transcript by Mail. You can also contact your employer for copies of a W-2, 1099, or K-1 form. If you are unable to obtain copies from your employer, you can contact the IRS, and their number is listed right here as well. Wills and estate planning documents. Now, this is something that, if your will or any of your estate planning documents have been lost or destroyed, you will want to execute new documents. So that is one of the only things that you won't be able to actually find a replacement or just file for a replacement. You will have to actually execute execute a new will or any other estate planning documents.
Now,
Okay,
Heather,
so
I
U.S.
do
mail,
have
if you think you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, I actually do have a question about that. If you do have a will or a power of attorney, something like that, does your attorney that you had that done through, do they usually keep a copy of that as well?
They usually do, but you are going to want to have originals of that. It just
Okay.
makes the process go a lot easier.
Right.
And more smoothly, because if you have copies of a will, a lot of times they will have to go through a probate process, and you just want to have, avoid as much as you can.
Right. Right. So just it's easier to just have them redone. So
right. Yes.
Okay.
Just go have it all redone. So
Right.
okay. And then for U.S. mail, if you think you may be a victim of theft or destruction of your mail, you can call 1-877-876-2455 or file a complaint online. And there is another link right there. And then you can also call 1-800-ASK-USPS for general assistance. Okay, and next slide, please.
All right.
Okay, and so we actually posted a blog on the savlp.org website for replacing lost documents, and it is just a more extensive explanation of all of this. So feel free to go and check out our blog, and the website is right there as well. And you'll just see, I think it's at the top right corner of the screen. You'll have a little drop down box, and you'll just click on blogs, and it'll be the most recently posted one. And okay, and here's just some contacts for the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program. We've got the client line listed. We also have a toll-free number, and then our website. Also, another pro bono service is Legal Services. Their number is listed as well. And then if you don't qualify for pro bono with Legal Services or the South Alabama Volunteer Lawyers Program, you may qualify for another low-cost service, which is a lawyer referral service, and their number is listed there as well.
Right.
And next slide.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Time for questions.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. Again, we have Heather with us, of course, and we have Jason with the Social Security Administration. Jason, is there anything that you'd want to add, or
Yes. As far as visiting the Social Security office, we still are closed to the public for the time being. I know it seems like it's been forever since we've been open to the public, but please just contact your local Social Security office. I know in Mobile, we do have a drop box open Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 to drop off items if you don't feel comfortable send things through the mail. And also, if it's a dire need situation, which is a case by case situation, just call the office and we could see about doing a face-to-face interview.
Great. Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate that. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? Anybody need to ask a question in the chat?
I know it was a lot of information today.
and just a reminder too, we again, we have been recording this. We will upload the recording to AARP Alabama's YouTube webpage in the next day or so. And everybody who has registered with their email address, we will be sending you a email that within a day or two that has the recordings link, as well as the telephone numbers and the websites that we've gone through today, that Heather has gone through today. Also, we know that you may not all be from Alabama or from this area. And just to let you know, there are services like this most everywhere in the country. And probably one of the easiest ways to find those is to dial 211. That is a good information number to check out for folks that you, if you do have questions for your area or you do need assistance in your area. Also, you can always go to, again, the SSA website, the USPS website. Again, like Heather said, your local probate, you can probably Google that pretty easily and find what their stuff is. So if you're not from Alabama, there are other ways to do it. We are just so glad you joined us today. Let's see if we have, let's see.
I saw one question come through, Dorothy. She said, let me see, I don't have the exact question, but she said that her fireproof container is very heavy. I know there are ones that are much lighter. Now I have mine is pretty heavy as well. I can carry it, but it's heavy. But maybe I can try to find like some specific links and maybe send to Dorothy and we could send out to y'all. But I have watched several YouTube videos of people who are putting together their safe boxes, and theirs are very light. And I think most of them said they got them from like an Office Max, like an office type place. So I would check there and see. Also just look on Amazon, and it should have the weight on there as well. But I know there are options. I will look and see though if I can find some specific ones that I could recommend as well.
Right. That's great. Thank you, Heather. Yeah. The fireproof, I think, are what make it particularly heavy. So
yeah. And in our case, I mean, we're talking about storms, so we think waterproof at first, but it's also great to have them in a fireproof, case or safe or something as well. So.
Right. So let's see. Oh, well, thank you, Miss Edna. That's great. And she is in Florida. Thank you very much for joining us. And
yes.
Folks, we do have another webinar coming up, and it's on the 29th. Heather will be back with us again to talk about social networking during disasters. And Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to be offering or talking about some really good apps that are available to kind of use that are free, but are good to have in case you are in a storm or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. And I had no idea that some of the apps offered, special services during natural disasters. For instance, Airbnb, I had no idea that they, have free services sometimes, free places for people to stay whenever they have to evacuate, or if they are emergency workers that are coming in town for something. That's just a quick example. So it's a lot of really good information and a lot of apps I had never heard of myself. So in the event that you do have cell phone service, and then we have some options too for apps that work really well with very spotty cell phone service. So I'm going to give a few of those as well.
That's
and
great.
Dorothy, I think I saw a question come through about banking information.
Yes.
I did. Yeah, that wasn't one of the slides. But all you have to do is just call. You're just going to have to call your specific bank and request replacement documents for that.
Here it is right here. Call your bank or credit card company. So.
Same thing with credit card companies. Correct.
Okay. So, all right.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We're all living it. So.
The boys are working at home with your 4-year-old.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Someone said, let's see, my thought on Fireproof Safe is not only to protect against fire, but also prevent quick theft of valuable information.
Correct. That's a great point.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up for us. And I'm going to go back to the disaster. I did put the registration information in the chat. And again, folks, this is recorded. We will be sending the recording link to you, as well as a list of all of the numbers and websites that we included in here to you in the next day or so. So please be on lookout for that. And I want to thank Heather and Jason so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to work with Heather and the Volunteer Lawyers Program down here in South Alabama. And they do great things. And I know that you folks who are not in our area, there are some great folks like volunteer lawyers I'm sure you can find in your area. So again, 211 is a great number to dial to try to find those in your area. So all right, folks, I think we are about to end. Don't see any more questions except a lot of thank yous, and you are all very, very welcome. And again, I thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully we will see you on the 29th for that disaster app webinar. And until then, I hope everybody stays safe and stays dry. And again, Heather, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Dorothy.
Great. And thank you too, Jason.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
Thank y'all.
All right. Okay, folks, that concludes our meeting. Have a great day.